Man, can you feel it? Can you feel it? Can you feel it? It is October 1st, ladies and gentlemen. In 5 days will be UFC 229. Conor McGregor returning after a 2-year absence, sort of one from combat sports, but 2 from MMA. He'll be taking on the reigning UFC lightweight champion, Khabib Nurmagomedov. You know all of this. Why am I bringing this up? Not to reiterate the basic facts of the contest on Saturday, but to answer a question that everybody appears to be asking me, and I'm sure every other media member, and maybe each other, which is this really the biggest fight in MMA history? Is this the biggest fight in UFC history? Where does this really rank? And can we say definitively that it belongs at the top? And I will tell you, in answering that, it brought up a couple of interesting points and observations. I'm not going to have a long way in today. This will be very short. You know, look, if you wanted to go back and compare some of the bigger North American cards that aired on television with Elite XC and Kimbo, in the UFC on their early debut on Fox, some of the Strikeforce shows on CBS, and you can get up around 7, 8, 9 million or more, depending on how you want to look at those demos. Those will be up there for observation. You can go back to the heyday of the Kakatogi boom in Japan, and you can look at Hoist versus Akibono, 54 million. Rest in peace, Norifumi Yamamoto taking on Masato. I think it did, 34 million. It goes down the line like that. I mean, is McGregor versus Nurmagomedov really going to be at 54 million, half the size of the Super Bowl? That seems like a really big fight. I don't know the answer to that. Here's what I can say. That was 54 million just in Japan. That was a giant fight there. It's a totally different age. One thing you need to consider here is this is a really globalized sport today. People are going to watch in Ireland at 6 in the morning if they don't get preempted for Peppa Pig. Shouts to Peppa Pig for effing over the Republic of Ireland in the UK. That must have sucked to wait up for that. But the point being is, you can watch it in Ireland. You can watch it in the United States, in Canada, in Mexico, in South America. You can get it over the top. Some places have it in channel. You can order it online. You can order it on pay-per-view. South Africa, all the way to Australia, non-English speaking countries throughout Europe. Like, this is going to be a fight that just permeates the globe in a way where no other fight previously could. It just wasn't an option in this pre-globalized age that we have now. But that's not the point I wanted to bring up. And I'm talking like it's a pep rally for a reason. And that reason is, back around UFC 100, you could say, well, it did 1.6, 1.7 million pay-per-view buys, and that's really big. But, you know, McGregor versus Khabib will probably beat that. And I suspect that it will. I suspect it'll be the biggest pay-per-view in MMA history. But the reason I bring that up is because if you weren't watching the sport at the time, everything felt big. Now, that felt like really, really, really big, but MMA was hot. Everyone was interesting. It was water cooler talk. Everyone was like, is this the future of sports, and where is it headed, and how cool is UFC, and look at how smart the Fertitta brothers are and Dana White, and we have exhausted that part of things. You're asking this question in part because now we have tremendous highs and then a lot of lows. It's much more of a yo-yo than it used to be, and that's why it's confusing. It's like, is this really the biggest fight in UFC history? Again, I don't know if it's going to do 54 million viewers, but it's going to be damn big. It's going to be top 5, top 3. It might even be number 1. The reason I'm bringing this up and the reason I want to start the show with this today is I am telling you, part of the way it will become the biggest, if in fact it reaches that, is if this audience bleeds out and gets hyped for it. If you generate enough enthusiasm, I'm not saying you can change ultimately the dynamics of the fight, but it starts with you. There's the spark. It eventually turns into a roaring blaze. I fundamentally believe, even if you have had the downside of MMA weigh upon you recently, even if you felt a little bit checked out, I understand that this is the time to check back in. And fuck the bus incident. I don't even care about that anymore. The reason why you want to check back in is not just because of the return of a global superstar, not just because of its incredible stakes, is because this is almost as good as MMA is really ever going to get. Not merely because of the size of the potential fight, number 1, number 3, number 5 in history, but because of a guy trying an experiment of leaving MMA for 2 years and coming back. St. Pierre did it, but that's St. Pierre. Can he do that? Can he really have that kind of a run against a guy that dominant, 26-0, in the best division globally, where every organization has a good lightweight division? That is what is on the line come Saturday. If that doesn't get you back up, then it doesn't deserve to be the biggest fight in MMA history. But I have a feeling, ladies and gentlemen, that it does. And I have a feeling come Sunday morning or Monday morning, we're going to be talking about a moment in time in your MMA fandom that you not only will not forget, that you cannot forget. And I don't know who's going to win. Your guess is quite truly as good as mine. But what I am saying to you now is expect bigness. Lead the way by example with that bigness. Show the enthusiasm. And if it's been weighing upon you, MMA's challenges recently, shed them for a week. Enjoy this opportunity. Enjoy these moments. They don't come around very often. And then bask in the glory of what is to come, ladies and gentlemen. Will it be the biggest? I'm going to guess top 3. We'll see. In the end, here's what I know. It's damn big and it's damn overdue.